So hi, good afternoon everyone. Thanks for joining this afternoon's webinar. We are a small but perfectly formed group this afternoon, and hopefully this will be an interesting kind of 30 minutes, 40 minutes, no more, just to manage your expectations for time-wise. So today I'm going to talk about managers as coaches. It's quite a topical subject for me at the moment because quite a number of my clients are talking to me about bringing more coaching into their management and their leadership style. So let's get going. And the first thing I always try to do, and I know there's a few of you out there who I know already are a little bit reticent about doing this, but if you can be brave, just use the chat function. Tell us your name and your main interest in this topic, please. The reason I do this is that I do mute everybody's microphones. Forgot the word then, because it just keeps down on the background noise. But let's start off with being sociable and find out who's out there, and just a bit of a feeling as to what's your main interest in the topic. And while you're doing that, I'll just click forward and introduce myself a little bit. So I always say, I need to do something with that photograph, don't I look at the photos of me and I think, oh God, what a horrible cheesy grin. But that's me. I am Rhiannon. I'm just letting somebody else in. Here we go. I'm Rhiannon, and I am the founder and director of Blue Grape Talent. And in essence, we are a people development consultancy. But what we do is we work with ambitious organisations, helping them create an awesome employee experience that people actually want to be part of. And what I've just got on the slides there are a couple of things I thought it'd be helpful just to share some of my beliefs and some of the things that drive me. What do I believe in? So that'll give you a kind of a flavour as to what we're like in Blue Grape and the sort of things that are important to us. So how do we work with organisations? We're quite flexible, pretty bespoke, but it is all about trying to create this great, awesome employee experience that people really want to be part of, because that really does drive your customer experience as well. But the 6 main things that we do, you can see here on the screen, we're all about leadership development and coaching, personal development, personal coaching. We do a lot of work with our clients around talent management processes and activities. We work on team effectiveness, getting people to work together better. A fairly new stream for us here is candidate assessment, helping you choose the right people to fit into your organisations in the first place. And increasingly we're doing more around helping organisations through cultural change. Again, what runs through all of this is helping you create this awesome employee experience that people want to be part of. So look, I've been brave, and I can't see anybody yet put any messages in the chat group. Maybe I just need to stop doing this, because this is always one that people feel a little bit nervous about introducing themselves and explaining your interest in the topic. The thing is, I know that you're out there because I can see everybody that's entered. So I'll just sit here knowing that there's lots of people out there, but you're just a bit too shy to put anything forward. This might make now the next exercise, though, I don't know if this is going to go well or not, because, again, just trying to get you to kind of participate a bit more. I wanted to ask everybody what your thoughts are. So these are 4 statements here, and I'm interested in knowing which of these statements you feel refers to coaching. And the reason for doing that is that I think coaching is a kind of a weird and wonderful phrase and terminology that people don't quite understand what it's all about. So just trying to get your view on, what do you think coaching is? If we understand what coaching is from the very outset, then we can have a more interesting conversation about it. Oh, Joanne, thank you very much. You're looking to develop your managers as coaches as well. Well, I'm preaching to the converted already then, Joanne. Maybe you could help us out then, Joanne. Which one of these 4 statements do you think refers to coaching specifically? They all refer to something, but which one do you think refers specifically to coaching? I'll see if anybody's brave enough to make a guess and put their thoughts out there. It just does go to show, though, that we often use words and phrases almost kind of interchangeably. And I know in particular, coaching is always closely followed by mentoring. We talk about coaching and mentoring people, coaching and mentoring, as if they are one and the same thing. Well, I'll break the suspense here and slowly show you. The first line actually refers to mentoring. It's a process where a senior colleague, probably more knowledgeable and worldly wise, gives advice and provides a role model. So that's more about mentoring. Mentoring is a process where you're in effect going to someone for some advice. What would you do in my position here? And a mentor will give you the benefit of their experience. So this is a bit more telling, sharing their experience with somebody else. The second line actually just generally refers to training, the process of getting knowledge, skills, or abilities by study, experience, or teaching. It's a general catch-all phrase for training. But it's this third one that refers directly to coaching. And can you see now we've got these definitions, how it does differ very much from mentoring. So coaching is specifically a non-directive form of development. So it could look like a number of different things, but it helps an individual identify their goals, assess their own strengths and areas for development, and find their own solutions for moving forward. Now you can see a real difference there between coaching and mentoring. Mentoring is more of somebody telling somebody else what they would do, whereas coaching is absolutely not about telling someone what to do. It's helping them find their own solutions. And then the fourth one on the list there, it actually refers to counselling. And as a coach, it's absolutely not what we do. There's a big difference between coaching and counselling. So hopefully now, kind of from the outset, you get what I'm talking about when I talk about coaching. But we're probably most familiar with coaching, here making a bit of an assumption, as a thing that happens to, normally they're senior executives, and they have an executive coach, a person, a consultant that comes into the organisation, works with mainly your senior executives, and then leaves the organisation again, having helped this person kind of transform their performance, but they take their coaching skills away. Now that is a traditional view of coaching, and it's absolutely, it's one of the things that I do. It's a really beneficial process for some people, but I'm talking here more about managers as coaches. So what do I mean by that? Well, I thought it might be easy to, rather than offer a definition, kind of talk through and explain what I mean by that. Now, I can definitely remember back to my early career, first starting work, leaving university, being a real fresh-faced, wet behind the ears graduate. My manager was somebody that I went to when I didn't know what to do. A manager's job was there to provide advice, or to, well, mainly tell people what to do when they got stuck. They were the technical experts. They were the ones with the most experience, and invariably they were the ones that kind of knew the answers to all of the problems, or they were expected to know all of the answers to all the problems, because they were probably more experienced, had done your job themselves at some point. I'm picturing now in my mind some of my retail managers. I first went to work for Tesco, so some of the retail managers, when I just didn't know what to do, I would go and ask them. But let's stop and think. I don't think that's very sustainable. In this day and age, the world is changing so quickly. How can we have one person with all of the answers to all of the problems? We don't know half the problems and what they are going to be in the future, let alone what they are now. So when I talk about managers as coaches, it's more, from my perspective, somebody who is directing this team of experts, but not to direct or develop these people's technical skills necessarily, but helping them know the best way to apply those technical skills. We've said it for a number of years, isn't it, that people that really know what's going on and got the best ideas are those guys that work on the shop floor and pulling there on my retail days. They are the ones who are there talking to your customers. They really know what the problem is and what needs to happen. So a manager as a coach is simply somebody there who enables these experts around them to apply their technical knowledge to solve problems in the most effective or in the best way. So I'm not saying that a manager needs to be coaching people all the time. Here, I think managers' ability to coach, it should be another tool or another skill in that manager's toolbox or skill set that they pull on as and when they need to. So there you go. That for me is the difference between what I would call a consultant coach that comes in and leaves, and a manager as a coach. I should just say, please, at any point, I would love to, because Joanne, you've shown me that you're brave. Pop any thoughts or comments in the chat box as I'm going along. If there's anything that you agree with or disagree with, or if you've got a particular piece of experience in this area that you want to share, please help yourself pop your thoughts in the chat box. So there's what I mean by a manager as a coach, and that's really the conversations I have with my clients when they come to talk to me about wanting managers to adopt more of a coaching style. But why? Why do I think that that's important for organisations at the moment? It's kind of creating something quite different to what our traditional view of managers were. So let's start off with understanding, how could a business benefit from this? What is the point, or what's in it for a business or an organisation to develop some more of these skills in their managers? Bit of a busy slide here, but to be honest, it's busy because there's just so much information out there about it. So I'm just trying to capture here from a variety of different pieces of research, academic research, empirical research, what is the business benefit of managers coaching more than directing or telling? Well, there's a bunch of experience that tells us around how coaching styles and coaching skills can really drive employee engagement. So top left-hand corner there, when managers provide more meaningful feedback, employees can be up to 3.5 times more engaged in their work. And we know that relationship between employee experience drives employee engagement, which in turn drives business benefits. And that's what the second point on the left-hand side also talks about, is a coaching culture is a practice that is most highly correlated with business performance, employee engagement, and overall retention as well. All of which is really important to us these days in business and in the environments that we work in, and the amount of competition that we're facing. But also, coaching can genuinely improve communication skills. Which really, I remember my days in the corporate world was a massive drain on productivity. People didn't talk to each other, and there was an awful lot of internal conflict as well within organisations. So, just again, coaching communication skills can have such a huge increase there on productivity and conflict reduction. Interestingly, we hear that 86% of companies who would use coaching say that they made their investment back. So I'll touch a little bit later on around investment. Yes, nothing is free, is it? We do need to invest something, but oh my gosh, look at the amount of companies that have found a real return on their investment from that initial upfront investment. Interestingly, Google, this is an interesting one to Google, Project Oxygen. It's a massive piece of work that they did in Google a number of years ago to understand more about their the effect of leadership on business performance. And in this project, called Project Oxygen, found that employees most valued and felt that coaching skills in their managers were the most important skill that they wanted their managers to have. And then we finish them with more daily feedback from their manager. Again, that drives higher levels of engagement. So we kind of know in our bones this is a good thing to do, but sometimes we do need some kind of hard and fast figures to back up what it is we feel is the right thing. Now, it's all very easy for me to sit here and say, "Hey, these are the return on an investment. This is what you should be doing. You know, stump up the cash, kind of thing." But I've also been there in your shoes right now, and I can probably. I'm trying to assume that this is some of the reality that you're facing. You may want to adopt more coaching in your organisation, but it's not easy, is it? And I think maybe there's a number of things. Well, this is definitely my experience when I worked in the corporate world, around the kind of the blockers that I experience around why we can't or why we shouldn't. Some of it is down to traditional people's view of what is management, what is a manager's job all about, and what is coaching. Hence why I kind of started off at the start here with a couple of definitions as to what coaching really is. We don't really understand it. And I think we in the coaching world don't make it easier because we say, oh, it's all a number of different things. It's about releasing your potential. It's about working. Now, let's just be really clear. What on earth is coaching? But when we understand that, then we get to two other big barriers. Managers that lack in confidence when they realize, oh my God, I've got to do that. And then managers that lack the skills to do that well. So simply by saying, right, you're going to start doing more coaching, that's actually pretty scary for an awful lot of managers, particularly when we talk about manager as a coach is no longer that technical expert. It's no longer that person that everybody must go to. That's pretty scary. We need to help managers through that confidence phase and equip them with the right skills. I also hear quite a lot, oh, it just takes too long. I was doing a workshop yesterday, which wasn't specifically about coaching, but we had some coaching tools and techniques in that workshop. And yet I got but I haven't got time to sit down and have all of these conversations with all of these people. I've got so much else to do. And I don't want to necessarily risk them going off and doing something wrong without me telling them what they should be doing. It takes time for you to see some results. But do you know what? Just by introducing a couple of easy coaching type tools, you can make quite a difference quite quickly in your organization. But yes, I'm also going to be honest and say it is difficult to build a business case for investment in coaching skills. But note I said difficult, not impossible. And I'm hoping that some of these stats I've just shared with you beforehand are things that you can maybe take away and see if that can help you at all with building your cases. So I know it's not easy, and I understand what you could all be facing right now. But I did promise you some tools and techniques, or kind of a way to start making this change yourself in your organisation, because it doesn't have to be that difficult. If we just understand what are the kind of blockers that you're facing, we can be quite crafty and start to work with you to understand, well, what are the small things, the small steps you could take to start breaking down some of these blockers that you experience. So here are my 3 easy-ish, I definitely say easy-ish, some are easier than others, top tips, I suppose, to get you started in the right direction. Because adopting more of a coaching style in your organization doesn't have to be a massive change. You can make some steps forward quite quickly and start to see some results quite quickly, which then in turn, ordinarily I find if you start producing results relatively low cost, the important people that hold the budget strings start to listen to you. So 3 things. I'm going to quickly talk about insights and what you could do to help people have insights. There is the magic triangle, as I refer to it as, which is a little bit more difficult. And then there's creating a pull, creating an interest in adopting more of a coaching style as well. So let me crack on. I'm going to start with the one that might feel a little bit more difficult. And why do I call it the magic triangle? Well, it's these 3 things that I think you need to start to get put in place to set the right environment for coaching to be successful. So before you embark on any particular intervention, let's try to do as much as we can do to set yourself up to succeed rather than bumble along and maybe fail. Because we've said coaching is less about telling people what to do and more about helping other people find their solutions, well, we do need an element of a framework for this to happen. Because as my financial services client told me yesterday, oh my God, we can't just, let everybody just suddenly go. And you're dead right. You're dead right. We can't just suddenly let everybody go and say, oh, what do you think you want to do? So these three things are really important to have in place. Think about vision. And I know that's quite another kind of nebulous concept. What is a vision? Well, I think about it as the destination. It's got to be clear to everyone in your organization, what are you trying to achieve? What's the end destination that you want to get to? With that provides people with direction. It doesn't tell them how to get there, but it tells you where you're trying to get to. So it might be something around where an organization that is trying to drive our client experiences. It might be that we're trying to reduce costs, increase efficiency, to move some of our manual processes to be more online. Whatever that vision, that direction is, that's the end point. Now we should get everybody pointing in the right direction, pointing towards the same destination. But definitely before you let somebody go, without saying, well, what do you think is the right thing to do? We do need to make sure that everybody is competent. So technical skills, training, soft skills, that we need to make sure we've got the right people with the right competence levels. So when you do let them go, you're confident that they have the training or the ability and the skills to do that as well. And then, of course, you need people to feel that they are empowered, because if they know where you want them to go, they are trained, so we know they're going to make the right decisions. We've got to enable them to make those decisions. And as I'm sitting here looking at this slide now, I should have done one other thing. I've got empowerment, but for me, the opposite side of empowerment is also accountability. Now that normally kind of makes businesses go, oh, that's all right then, because empowerment seems like, oh, we're letting everybody go off and do what they want. No, but with empowerment comes accountability as well. But if you look at it as a framework, if people know where they're trying to go to, we've invested the time to make sure they have the right skills, and then we empower them to make decisions that enable them to use those skills and hold them accountable. There's a great framework for coaching to start and to take action. So here we go. This is about setting the environment for coaching to be successful. Top tip number 1. Top tip number 2 then is helping people have insights. The best way I can describe what an insight is that, oh, I get you now moment. We all get them. Oh, I suddenly understand. I know what you're saying. I have the solution. I now know what to do. But an insight, in a little bit more technical way, is a kind of a non-obvious solution to an issue or a problem that actually comes from the subconscious part of your mind, and it suddenly emerges into your awareness. At the risk of sounding slightly dodgy, I often have my best insight moments in the morning in the shower. Oh, that's what I could do. Oh yeah, I get that now. When you are no longer thinking about the problem itself and pull away, go and do something else, you're allowing your subconscious brain to kick in, and there's so much more brain power in your subconscious brain. Suddenly it pops back out a few hours, a few days later. And what actually is then happening is, because you're activating your subconscious, it combines with existing knowledge that you've got in your subconscious, kind of accessing existing maps that you've got in your long-term memory. The issues combining with what you already know and creating new patterns and finding new solutions. So you suddenly come with, oh yeah, I could do that. And often it's because you've done something vaguely similar in another part of your life or world, and those two things have joined together. But if you carried on thinking hard and fast about the problem, it's unlikely you would ever have made those connections. Insights are great because they're hugely motivating. When we have an insight, actually what's happening in our brain, it releases dopamine. We all know dopamine's our kind of our pleasure drug, so it gives us a huge amount of pleasure and satisfaction. But dopamine also activates our intrinsic motivation, and intrinsic motivation aids behavioral change. So basically what I'm saying is, as we all kind of know, if you come up with an idea or a solution yourself, you're more likely to do it. That's just the easy way to understand what an insight is. So how can you help people have insights? Asking them questions about the problem. Sorry, I'm going to change my language there. Asking them questions around the problem, not about the problem itself, because that's the bit where we get stuck, but asking them to consider issues around the problem. Rather than thinking, how do I get what is this solution here? Questions such as, have you done something similar in the past? When have things worked well? Genuinely, this was an honest one we had yesterday in my workshop. What would your mother think? The idea of that question was trying to get you to see the problem from another person's perspective. What would happen if you didn't? What would you do if you had a magic wand? Just lots of really open, non-leading questions around the problem. That helps generate insight. So you could do this kind of straight away. And actually what I should say is all of these 3 top tips, they're not reliant on each other. You could do these separately. So big key skill, do a bit of research around insights. Change and adopt your approach to other people. Start asking them questions rather than providing them with a solution, but asking them questions that helps them think around the problem. Because that kind of leads then to my 3rd top tip, which might be a little bit obvious, but you know what? Give managers or people who might have the purse strings in your organization, give them experience of coaching themselves. Now, okay, I'm cheating a bit here because this is kind of like an insight. So rather than trying to persuade them to do this, let them experience coaching themselves, because we all know we often can't tell someone what to do. If they've experienced it themselves, they draw conclusions, and that in turn then shapes their beliefs and their perceptions. So yeah, again, it could be a relatively low investment. Find maybe someone who you need to influence, your plant, and help them have the opportunity of experiencing coaching themselves. That can often give them a light bulb. I mean, oh, my God, what if all my managers did this as well? How different will my organization then be? So 3 top tips. Hopefully one of them appears to be a little bit more doable for you than others. But I thought I would just start to bring to a close here by just checking, because, yes, so far I've talked about coaching. And don't get me wrong, I think getting our managers to do more coaching is incredibly important. But hopefully you understand the context of what I said about what do I think is a management coaching style rather than a consultant coming in to coach. But really the bottom line is, managers, their jobs are not straightforward. They are complex. They need to be able to juggle and do a number of different things with a number of different employees in a number of different circumstances, some things of which they will be really confident at, and some things they're going to be less confident, and of course all of their employees are going to be quite different. So I think coaching as a management style kind of needs to be seen as another tool that the manager can use in their toolbox, but not the only way that they always manage, because there is a need for variety. Now, we're probably most familiar with a kind of a directing or a delegating management style, but we're all individual people, everyone is different, and it's all those shades of grey in between. So imagine you can be giving your managers even more tools to choose from to help them address all of those shades of grey. So what am I trying to say here in maybe a too long roundabout way? We should view coaching as one way for a manager to manage, but there will always be times when they do have to instruct, or they do have to tell, or they should do a bit of mentoring maybe, and there are some people that they will need to happily delegate to. So maybe that's another reason why I talk about coaching for managers rather than just coaching, because I do think they are really quite different. And we don't want to develop managers as coaches, because that wouldn't make them effective in their management job. Their management job is too complex and too diverse to have one style alone. So, okay, I've given you a bit of a feel and a flavour around what I think management as managers, as coaches really is about, and hopefully given you a couple of ideas of things you could go and try yourself. If you wanted to know even more about, or do even more, and if you're there now, yes, I want to embark on developing my managers to be better coaches, there's a whole load of different things that we in Blue Grape could help you with. We start at the top right hand corner. We are, it's myself and one of my associates, we are these traditional consultant coaches. So we can come in and we can coach individuals or groups in your organisations. But that's not the only thing we do. We can help you with a kind of a temperature check if you want, and try to understand what coaching skills do you already have in your organisation. How can you leverage and build on them there? We can help you with some really interesting analytics and always look at it from the other side, rather than how can we help managers be better coaches, almost, or what people in your organisation would respond best to being coached. So if you haven't got a lot of budget or you don't want to create something completely different, we can help you target your manager's coaching skills to the right employees that are going to get the most back from that. We also as well can work with you to look at your talent processes. Are they enabling or preventing a coaching style? This is something I'm particularly doing with a client at the moment around their appraisal process. They want to be more development focused, more coaching focused, but actually their processes are blocking and stopping that from happening. Or we can come in and do a whole host of leadership development. We do anything from 1 days to lunchtime tasters to a full-on program for your managers or your leaders. Or we can simply work with you to help you build individual development plans to generally increase your coaching skills. It's whatever's going to work best for you in your organisation. We do accept this could be quite an investment, and we rather work with our clients to build and to get something that you need for the long term than to feel that this could be totally alien to you. So I hope this has been interesting and you've been able to take a couple of things away. Naturally, I would love to talk to you about this in more detail. If you would like to, please just say something like, oh, yes, please, or hell yes, in the comments box below, or drop me a line, give me a call, and I'd happily come out and we can have a good conversation with how we can help you adopt more coaches in your management population as well. I'm also going to pop this webinar onto my website as well, and send this out to everybody who's on the call. So you've got this to refer back to if you want to also. If you've got any interest in any of those tools or top tips I shared with you, please just reach out. Otherwise, thank you very much for listening, and thank you for contributing with the chat. And it'll be lovely to maybe meet up with you again soon. Otherwise, have a great day. See ya. Bye-bye.